recognize the Sherry Galloway, the house where I think her parents still live today. Now, if you remember your 11th grade year whatsoever, you know, that's where we built the float, and it was a wonderful time. Now, we had floats being built over at Kathy's house, and I'm not really remembering who or where we did it at the 10th grade. But the 11th grade float building, unreal. Plenty of good stories about that. Matter of fact, that was one of the times, if for some god reason, we had to have like some kind of hoses, and so our deal is kind of one of the people that had to go out and look for hoses is that we took Schwann's with us, and we took Packman with us, Ned Carafelli went with us, and Terry Bolin went with us, and we went around looking for hoses. Now, to be kind, we had to go to people's homes and borrow them. Now, Terry Bolin had it, so we all synced watches and went all at one time, went like Navy SEALs. Schwann's would go to the door, ring the doorbell, and it's like, hey, we're stealing your hoses later, take off. Wonderful times. Anyways, if you remember that, I'm sure you have a couple of good stories about that float building process. Oh man, we do. We're here in the Village Bourne, that was at one time the downtown they thought it was going to be. We're right in front of the Old Village Bakery. Now, unfortunately, the Old Village Bakery doesn't exist anymore. The sign's here, but they moved out a couple of months ago. But if you've ever gone in that place and just opened the doors, man, that wonderful smell of a perfect bakery. Now, here's a little side note. This was the only place in 1961 within a 1-mile radius that you could get a thing called pizza. And if you ever had the pizza here, delicious. We're here at 14 in John R. Clearly, this is Oakland Mall. Let me do my best Marcel Marceau for you. There, pretty good. 5 years of college. That was me opening the front doors, which would at this very location be Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. Now, Farrell's was here from late 60s, mid 70s. But it was a wild place for ice cream. It was some red, white, and blue kind of motif around there, and people wore straw hats, whatnot. The big push here was that you would ask mom and dad if you could come here, and if they really treated you well, you asked the wait staff if you could go for the trough, and they would come out with like individual dishes of ice cream on a big plattery kind of deal. And if you ate all this ice cream, they'd make this big pomp and circumstance. And it's like, ladies and gentlemen, this child here, fill in your name, made a pig of himself at Farrell's. And everybody would clap, yay, piano would play. And they'd give you a little button and it said, I made a pig of myself at Farrell's. Brilliant idea. Sell a kid $20 worth of ice cream, make him feel sick as hell, give him a 50-cent badge, everybody wins. Perfect marketing. From the rite of passage file, here's something for you. Now, talking directly only from the guy side of town, Dave Martin, one of our classmates, hit it right on the head. Before you had a car, you were in the state of woo. You had to woo the girl. Now, what's happening is that we're right here on Red Maple, right by Cheryl Furman's old house. How did we get here? It's a miracle. Anywho, well, what happened was that if you were wanting to woo some girl, somebody from Hesse or whatnot, you would have your bicycle nice and cleaned up. It better be a Stingray at the time. Banana seat, check. Sissy bar, check. You know, the spokes all tuned up, looking ready to go. Great. Now, what you did was you went by yourself. You didn't go with a gang of guys because you wouldn't have to explain. You want to go by some girl's house. Oh, you didn't want to go through any of that. So you'd open up the door, tell the parents you're going on a bike ride, and as long as you were in your neighborhood, you were okay to go. And so you would be going all this way over, and then you'd finally get on the street of the girl you would have to woo. In this case, it would be Red Maple. Now, here's rules of engagement of woo on a bike. If the dad was out, or the brothers were out, or any family member was out, you kept going. Okay, but now on the 1 in 1,000 chance that, say, Cheryl, or fill in girl's name here, was just happened to know that you were trying to woo her, and she dragged out a couch and put it on her front lawn and just waited for you to come by to be incredibly witty and charming, because probably in that era most of us guys to be kind, we're probably in our rugged good looks era, we'd be all set. And as soon as we'd drive by, you would see her standing outside. Here it comes. In your mind, you're going to pull up there, you're going to be sweeping charming, you're going to say, chick, get on the banana seat, I'll take you for a ride. But in reality, what happens if Cheryl, fill in the girl's name here, was out in front, you would panic. You'd panic greatly. And so as long as they saw you, put on the coaster brake, pull that 16-inch wheelie, take off. Hell yeah. That was just about as good as a date in the era of woo. And then you hope to God that it registered in Cheryl, fill in girl's name here's, mind, and when you went back to school that day, the next day, you're home. This is Searsma Elementary, matter of fact, on Donna Street. Now, this is the fourth of the 4 elementary schools that fed into Mott. Now, a lot of good people came out of here. Matter of fact, you probably know Donna Albrecht, who now goes by the name of Lady Dada, which reminds me that her 72,000 strong fan club now in 14 states and Puerto Rico want me to give you out a, hey girl. Here we are on my old street. Matter of fact, you probably recognize our old house there, the gray brick one. But across the street is Hesse, and that's where Hesse Elementary used to be for all the kids that lived in the neighborhood north of 12, south of 13, Ryan and Mound. Now, we had the biggest elementary school and the newest elementary school for the smallest amount of kids. We had, at one time, this was all woods, and then we had the golf course, which turned out to be a cemetery, and then half of it was the GM proving grounds. And so we had a little bit of kids in a big old school, and so Hesse was one of the very first elementary schools that weren't consolidated, shut down. Now, Hesse was dormant for a couple of years, and as you can almost tell behind me, they turned it into a condo. Right, that's what I want. I want where we played kickball, and if you had the kickball and kicked it into Trumbull's backyard or into Peter Reuter's backyard, it was a home run, except for you had to go shag it. And anybody in the Hesse subdivision knows shagging means you had to go over the fence, get the ball, throw it back. And so when we saw the Mike Myers movie, you know, The Spy Who Shagged Me, it was like the spy who had to go get the ball and throw it back. Okay. Anyways, I always thought it'd be kind of cool to go back here, and unfortunately Mr. Pank passed on a couple of years ago, but I'd always thought it'd be kind of cool to say, you know what, Pank, you taught there, but I bought that room. If you didn't go to Butcher, you went here to Agnes E. Beer Junior High School. Now, this was the second junior high school that fed into Mott. And if you went here, lucky you, you got to be a beer baron. I would wish they had one of those t-shirts growing up. Behind me you see what used to be the Landmark restaurant. Now, a lot of kids worked from Mott, worked at the Landmark. I mean, Sue Catron did, and perhaps you did too. It was a great place to, I mean, it was like a front runner for a Denny's. It was a great place to hang out afterward and just have a cup of coffee and let life go by. You can see this is the old Roger Gregg home. We'd like to talk more about it, but the FBI still tells us that we can't. Standing here in the corner of Meredith and Lamont now. What the heck is Lamont? Anyways, if you were in this situation over on this side of town, you went to Weber Elementary School. Now, Weber is here somewhere. Buried in all the rubble. It went the same way as Hesse did and as South did. It gave up its life, so people can have some houses there. Nice. However, I'm sure that you have a lot of good stories if you went to the school. We're standing here at St. Cletus Church. Now, of all the Catholic churches around here, St. Louise, where Pat Risk used to live, St. Anne's, this place was, wow, a most powerful place. Obviously, it's been here for 50 years. Now, if you see behind me, this is where they used to line up all the cars at services, and people were so enthused about what they heard in here message-wise that they would peel out of this drag strip all the way down to Eureka. Matter of fact, Bruce Meyer's family lived right at the mouth of where this entered out. He said you could see people trading paint, tires coming off, rollover accidents. Wow. The message here must have been incredible. Back in the mid-60s, our neighborhood got an upgrade. We got a McDonald's. Unfortunately, it's not here anymore. In Warren's great idea, they moved it right across to Mound Road, but when it used to be off 12 Mile here, it was fantastic. It was an original Golden Arches takeout only when it first started. Then in the early 70s, it was that sit-down thing when McDonald's became your kind of place. Then afterwards, it had that kiddie habit trail, so you can have like hamburgers and kids getting stuck in tubes, you know, or like drunks going up there. But who knew Jaeger would hit me so hard? Anyways, it became such a rocking event. After Marauder football games, half of Mott would come here, and it was so wild. At the end, they actually have security guards here for us. Not like we're bad kids or anything. More than about anything else, a lot of people remembered Universal City, Universal Mall, more than just about anything else. This is what it looks like in 2011. There's no more mall anymore. I mean, it's like in Michigan we get like a lot of rain, really cold, really hot, so why not just take the roof off a mall and just make it into a big strip mall? Brilliant. Anywho, 2 thumbs up to Mr. Martin and Mr. Demas, who both correctly got the quiz that we had. Of all the 5 places that you could get records in the mall at the time that we were growing up, it was Ward's and Federal's and Woolworth's, and the big other 2 was LA Sound, where Mary McSkimming used to work from our class, and surprisingly enough, Singer. The Singer Sewing Centers used to sell 45s at a discount of 10 cents less than anybody else was doing at the time. Thought here being that they'll get the young kids come on in and perhaps they'd want to get interested in sewing. Brilliant marketing plan, I think. Behind me you can see Dairy Deluxe, the legendary Dairy Deluxe, the home of the full court cone. Now, where's it at? It's of course on Woodward. Why would you be here? Because any Friday night or Saturday night, you and your buddies would pack your mom or dad's car and don't tell them where you're going. Give the $1 up to the driver and you would cruise Woodward. What's cruising Woodward? It's kind of like cruising Universal, except where you got to sit down. You were expected to drag race here, so if you were with the P. Chuck Peeler, or if, for God's sake, you were with the Crusaders of Warren Hot Rod Club, or if you are with Phil Price and you hung on for dear life on his hot rods, you would go from 10 Mile to 15 Mile Road and you would make the circuit. Here at Dairy Deluxe, you would like stop the car because it'd probably overheat or whatever, and you'd get yourself an ice cream cone. There's a red light right there so you could take off real quickly and show people what you had. Now, talking about showing people what you had, the politics of cruising. Here's something from the guy's perspective. You always had your maniac driver up front who was fearless about driving. Phil Price, great example. Second of all, you had your smoothest talker in the passenger front side. Now, here's the thing. If there was another car of all girls, you would have to like go maniac, try to find them, and like, wow, it's crazy, we just happened to pull up next to you. And he would give his best, smoothest line. Maybe you guys could, you know, pull over to Dairy Deluxe and hook up. If that didn't work, you went to your skill positions in the back seat. And what would they do? Well, since they didn't have the gift of gab, they had the gift of moon. Now, now you know what mooning is, right? Cheyenne? No? Come here, I'll explain it to you. Great, more years of therapy, awesome. Hey, come back here, get out of the street. Now we've taken you to a lot of places that you probably haven't seen in a very long time. However, they brought back an oh yeah memory, or probably a lot of good memories, and that's what we're doing with the 35-year reunion this year. Now it's at Stony Creek, it's at Winter Cove A, June 11th. All you have to do is bring a dish to pass, bring you. Ta-da! That's all you gotta do. Now, if you think you had great memories of the stuff we just saw, just think when you get to talk to people, it's even more fun.